Good morning and welcome to the Susan G. Komen Annual Pink Ribbon Luncheon as we celebrate 23 years. We are so grateful to have you joining us today to support our mission of saving lives and ending breast cancer forever by empowering others, ensuring quality care for all, and investing in science to find the cures. Today's luncheon is made possible by many generous sponsors throughout Northwest Arkansas. It is because of these sponsors and supporters like you that we are able to provide life-saving breast health services. Heartfelt thanks are offered to our presenting sponsor, the Breast Center and Mana Clinic, the Surviving Fashion Show sponsor, Highlands Oncology Group, and our Bigwig campaign sponsors, SC Johnson, a family company. Additional sponsors include General Mills, Mrs. John L. Hunt, Willard and Pat Walker Foundation, Jazzco. Our media sponsors are KNWA, Fox 24 News, Cityscapes Magazine, 3W, iHeartMedia, and Lamar Advertising. Our video production was done by DW2 Video. Thank you to all of our sponsors for their generosity and support. In addition to our sponsors, we would like to thank the Pink Ribbon Luncheon Committee, and we would also like to give a special thanks to our Survivor Model Chair, Julie Knight, and the Chair of the Pink Ribbon Luncheon Committee, Connie Williams. And now, a word from our presenting sponsor, the Breast Center of Northwest Arkansas, a Mana Clinic.
Welcome to the Breast Center, a Mana Clinic. My name is Dr. Britton Lott, and we are proud to be the presenting sponsor for the Komen Ozark 2020 Pink Ribbon Luncheon. We wish we could be with all of you in person today, but since we can't, we thought we'd take the opportunity to show you around one of our clinics.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly Pierce. I'm one of the physicians here at the Breast Center. Our team consists of 9 physicians, nurses, mammography technologists, ultrasound technologists, and MRI technologists. All of our physicians have completed medical school, residencies in radiology, and extra specialized training in breast imaging. Our dedicated support staff assist us in gathering all the information that we need to ensure that our patients receive the best care possible.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dana Greer. Our focus at the Breast Center is to detect breast cancer as early as possible by providing individualized care for each of our patients. You may wonder why we ask so many questions about you and your family. We actually use this information to help determine if you are at increased risk for developing breast cancer. If we find you are at increased risk, we will recommend an appointment with our risk assessment nurse who will discuss all of your options and design an individual plan for you, which may include genetic testing or increased screening with ultrasound or breast MRI.
I'm Dr. Whitney Sipe. Mammography is still the gold standard for breast cancer screening. At the Breast Center, we offer 3D mammography for improved breast cancer detection. We recommend that women age 40 and older have a yearly mammogram. If you come in for your routine annual exam and you are not having any problems, you will have a screening mammogram. This will be interpreted by one of our doctors, and you will receive your results in a few days. If you have a breast symptom, or you are asked to come in for additional imaging after a screening mammogram, you'll be having a diagnostic mammogram. Your images will be evaluated by a doctor while you're in the clinic, and you will receive your results before you leave.
Hi, I'm Dr. Catherine Rankin. At the Breast Center, we offer automated breast ultrasound screening in addition to mammography for women with dense breast tissue. Dense breast tissue can make it difficult or even impossible to identify a cancer on your mammogram. Additionally, dense breast tissue can increase the risk of developing a breast cancer. About 40% of women have dense breast tissue. To check to see if you have dense breast tissue, check the letter you receive after your mammogram.
Hi, I'm Steve Harms, one of the radiologists here at the Breast Center of Northwest Arkansas. The Breast Center of Northwest Arkansas is one of the few centers in the nation to provide breast MRI in the breast center itself. It's the only center in Arkansas to have breast MRI integrated with breast imaging in the center. Breast MRI is the most sensitive test for evaluating breast cancer. It has a cancer detection rate of 10 times that of mammography. Breast MRI is now indicated for women at high risk for breast cancer. This provides them an edge for the early detection of breast cancer. Breast MRI is also indicated in women who have symptoms of breast cancer or who have an early detected breast cancer with other methods. The sensitivity of breast MRI allows us to accurately define the extent of the disease so that they can be treated better.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bennett Battle. If we identify an abnormality on one of your tests, a needle biopsy may be indicated. A needle biopsy is quick and allows us to get an answer without having to send you to a surgeon. Today, more than 95% of our patients' cancers are diagnosed using a needle biopsy.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kevin Pope. Our newly diagnosed cancer patients are discussed anonymously at our weekly multidisciplinary breast cancer conference, where surgeons, oncologists, plastic surgeons, radiologists, pathologists, social workers, and nurse navigators give their input on each patient's personalized care plan. With our partners in Arkansas Breast Cancer Specialists, the Breast Center has the highest national accreditation in breast care through the National Accreditation Program for Breast Centers.
And finally, I'm Dr. Holly Gonzalez. Our care team at the Breast Center knows that coming here when you have a problem can be very stressful for you and your family. We do everything to make you as comfortable as possible and provide timely results, often on the same day. Because our patients come from a large geographic area, the Breast Center offers 4 convenient locations to serve you in Fayetteville, Bentonville, Harrison, and coming soon in Springdale. If you haven't been to the Breast Center, we'd love to see you for your next mammogram.
Excited to have a special guest joining us today. Her name is Kristen Harris. Kristen is the Executive Director of Komen Central in Eastern Virginia, and she's living with metastatic breast cancer.
Hi everyone, we're so glad you could join us today, and it is certainly my pleasure and honor to be here. I am Kristen Harris, Executive Director of Susan G. Komen Central and Eastern Virginia, and my buddies Lauren, Cecilia, and team were gracious and kind enough to invite me to join you all today after a conversation that we actually had a few months ago when I mentioned the parallels that I had observed between my journey in living with metastatic breast cancer and living in this time of COVID-19. So I invite you to walk with me for a few minutes as I share some of my reflections from my own journey and invite you to do the same. Pink ribbons have been a thread of my story, honestly, for about as long as I can remember. My mother was diagnosed the first time when I was 4 years old with stage 3 breast cancer, and that was 1983 when what we now call the dark ages of chemo. She had a bilateral mastectomy and aggressive chemo at the time, and thankfully was able to survive and raise my younger brother and me for the next 20 years when sadly she was diagnosed a second time. This time it was stage 4. It was metastatic breast cancer that was already very widespread at the time of her diagnosis to her liver, lungs, and ultimately her brain. But at that time I was 24 and chose to move home from grad school and serve as her primary caregiver for the next 15 months, walking alongside her through the fight of her life. But what an honor it was to witness her ask the hard questions, the important questions, the big ones. Questions about legacy, about purpose and meaning. And it challenged me to do the same, albeit at an incredibly young age, at the time. But she absolutely taught me how to be an incredible human and how to fight breast cancer with grace and fortitude. Lessons that I had no idea would come in so handy just 8 years later when one day after my 32nd birthday, I became the 4th generation in my family to be diagnosed with breast cancer. I was just barely 32. I had a 5.5 centimeter tumor with metastasis to multiple lymph nodes, and ended up being treated, as my oncologist would say, with everything. We threw everything at it but the kitchen sink, and we did. I had a bilateral mastectomy. I had about 19 months of chemo, 6 weeks of radiation, and a couple of years of progressive reconstruction surgeries. But we beat it, and I knew what it feels like to be bald and back, and to not take a single moment or a day for granted. But that's why you can imagine it was still a complete surprise when just a few years later, in 2016, at age 36, I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, or breast cancer that spread beyond the breast region to other organs or areas of the body, in my case, to my sternum, to my bones. I learned then, what is still true now, which is that we don't have a cure for metastatic breast cancer at this time. We hope to. It's what we work for every day at Komen. But it is treatable. It is treatable in ways entirely better and different than it was when my mom was alive 15 years ago, and when she fought cancer the first time in 1983. And so I thank each of you. I stand on the shoulders of my mother and every woman and man who fought breast cancer before me, who perhaps lost their lives. They gave their story to help us learn and know more. To every researcher and healthcare provider who's given their entire careers to this research, and to each of you, every donor who's even given $1 to help find these new discoveries that are so critical to patients like me, that we wait for every day. So here I am in 2020, 4 years later, having walked this journey with metastatic breast cancer for 4 years and counting, and so grateful to be here to be able to share more about that journey with you now. But here we are in 2020. Wow, 2020, right? How is it? How is this time of COVID-19 like walking with metastatic breast cancer? Well, it's surprising how much it has in common, not the least of which is that it doesn't seem to ever want to go away. I joke, but the truth is, until there's a cure for metastatic breast cancer, the condition is chronic, and we're always in treatment, always living with it, and it doesn't go away. And that ever-present inconvenience, suffering, sacrifice, nausea, side effects, is wearying. It's so tiresome. You see me with a smile today, but I've also vowed to be authentic. And the authentic truth is that every day is not sunshine and roses, you know? It's hard. Some days are incredibly tiring and hard. Just like some of the days you might be having at home right now in this time of COVID-19. But it's funny how, early on in a metastatic diagnosis, the threat to your life is so imminent, and you have to, figure out a care plan, get your finances buttoned up, do the sort of, triage the important things that, well, all of it's important, but this is the most urgent, what's urgent in the moment, and kind of handle that. And I feel like in many of our cases, we did that back in the spring. For those that were staying at home, we buckled down. For those that were diagnosed with COVID early, they became the shoulders we stand on today. There's so much we learned, so many who sacrificed so much early, and here we are, 6 months later, still fighting, still in search of a vaccine, still in search of a cure, still making sacrifices together, and some folks still living high risk, some who are hunkered down because of their risk factors, even like me, and finding that there's a lot in common with the metastatic journey, that hope for tomorrow, that hope for a cure, and dream of a world without breast cancer and without COVID-19. But you may have noticed, as we all buckled down earlier in the spring together, how much clearer your priorities became. The same happens with a cancer diagnosis, be it metastatic or even my stage 3 diagnosis, the stages before that. There's something about hearing the words "you have cancer" that does two things. It's its own kind of medical trauma. I would argue that any patient who's heard those words or their family member has experienced a kind of medical trauma. But it also gives perspective. It has a way of bringing those things that matter the most, your family, your time, how you spend it, your purpose and your legacy, much clearer into focus. We all recognize very quickly that time is precious, and if there's something you want to do, a legacy you want to leave, a dream you want to chase, a goal you want to start, or something you want to succeed in, there's no time like the present to get started. Gotta get up and get after it. And there's nothing like the stark reality of mortality, to bring that, the potential of mortality to bring that, the reality of mortality to bring that into focus. There's a great book called Staring at the Sun by Dr. Irvin Yalom. And in it he writes, quote, "It's not easy to live every moment wholly aware of death. It's like trying to stare the sun in the face. You can only stand so much of it." And that's true. There's only so long, like early on in this COVID experience we're sharing together, where we could stare it so wholly in the face. And it's that way with metastatic breast cancer too. At first, you're trying to just figure out how to survive, how to fight, what's the plan, how are we going to do this? But over time, as you sort of settle into the plan, you realize you can either live to die or live to live. And that has been my choice. How can I make the most of every day, knowing full well the reality of mortality, but choosing to make the most of every day in the present? And that's the journey. That's the journey we're on now. And are the inconveniences wearying? Sure. Are some days harder than others? Absolutely. Is it a long journey? Yes. But we're in it for the long haul. And most importantly, we're not alone. We have each other. Here at Komen, we have each other. In the breast cancer community, around the country and around the world, we have each other. There's so much we learn. There's so many ways we grow together, so much we have in common. And the same goes for this challenge of humanity right now, which is fighting this global pandemic. There's so much we can do for each other. All we have to do is reach out. So I ask you today, look around. See those who need you. Ask for help if you're someone who needs it. Go that extra mile to care for someone who's at risk, to take care of each other, to recognize that it is a long haul and everybody's weary of COVID and of cancer. Cancer doesn't stop for COVID-19, and we all need each other right now. And take this opportunity to focus on your priorities. Identify those dreams you want to chase after and dig deep. There are two common themes I've witnessed in my support group and among others with metastatic breast cancer. And it's a focus on authenticity and legacy. We're the only ones who can change that legacy we leave behind. So do it. Don't waste another minute. Don't waste the suffering. Don't waste the opportunity for lessons learned. Choose growth. Choose community. And let's choose each other. I dream of a world without without breast cancer for my precious niece who you see in the photo behind my shoulder, so that one day she may live in a world and never know the breast cancer that I have. And I dream of a world where we're all healthy again, without COVID-19 and without cancer. But may we learn from this journey together and continue to walk side by side. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope I'll get to see you again soon.
Thank you, Kristen. It's now time for the presentation of our 2020 Komen Ozark Big Wigs campaign presented by SC Johnson. So what exactly is a big wig? A big wig is a very important person in our local community who has agreed to raise awareness and funds, all while wearing a ridiculously pink wig. The big wigs were revealed right here on KWA and Fox 24 on September 9th and have been raising funds ever since. We also want to give a big thank you to Wendy Dunn from the Wendy Dunn Photography Studio for taking these fantastic pictures of our big wigs. Without further ado, let's meet this amazing 2020 big wig class. Natalie Bartholomew is the Chief Administration Officer of Grand Savings Bank. Natalie is ready for her big wig debut with her bright pink wig, sparkly tiara, and feather boa. Natalie was all in to be a big wig this year in honor of her late grandmothers. Natalie raised money through social media, her podcast, The Girl Banker, and she enlisted her co-workers at Grand Savings Bank to wear pink and support Komen during October. Quentin Canada is the Business Development Manager for Ozark Dermatology. Quentin is full of surprises and loved supporting his fun pink bob for breast cancer awareness. Quentin believes in the power of community coming together to make a difference, and he got his community together for Yoga for a Cure at Gully Park. Al Dominguez is Vice President and General Manager of Customer Development at Kimberly-Clark Corporation. Al's pink pompadour wig gave him the power to raise money and awareness for breast cancer. Al is proud to be supporting the 1 in 8 women who will face a cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. Al would like to thank everyone who donated to his campaign. TJ Leffler is the Executive Vice President and Principal for Sage Partners. TJ is ready to rock in his pink hair, shades, and bow tie. TJ knows that everyone has been connected to someone who has had or is currently facing breast cancer. He's all in for anything he can do to help find a cure. TJ hosted a private dinner to raise money for Susan G. Komen. Dr. Stephanie Lowry is a primary care physician at Park Hill Clinic for Women. Dr. Lowry has a beautiful flowing pink wig with adorable buns. She raised money by asking friends and family for donations and getting the entire Park Hill Clinic involved in her campaign. Dr. Lowry is participating to support her friends and patients who have endured a breast cancer diagnosis. Julie McWhorter is the Chief Administration Officer at Northwest Health Willow Creek. Julie believes the mission of Komen captures the attention of our community. Julie knows that every one of us is impacted in some way by this disease. Julie has the privilege as a community servant to further this campaign and brings funds to such a wonderful cause. Julie raised funds by hosting a boutique sale for Komen. Courtney Norton is a territory manager at National Dentex Corporation. Courtney looks darling in her wig that's short and curly. Courtney utilized social media to raise awareness and money in honor of her grandmother, Tippy, who was a breast cancer survivor. Courtney says she remembers walking every year in the Race for the Cure to celebrate Yippee, and she's proud to promote awareness and raise funds in her honor. Summer Searcy is a sales director for SC Johnson. Summer is sporting a fuchsia wig and raised money by asking friends, coworkers, and family for their support. Summer is honored to participate in this year's Big Wig campaign to honor 2 generations of women in her family who were not aware of their breast cancer status until it was too late. She raised money to help women who would normally not have access to these services.
And with our Komen Bigwigs, the voice of one becomes the voice of many. This year's group of 2020 Komen Bigwigs used their voices to join together and raise $27,590 for Komen Ozark. That's $27,590 that we are able to invest in life-saving research, breast health services, and programs to help fight breast cancer. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the time we get to announce the biggest of the bigwig, and that is Julie McWhorter. Julie worked her wig to raise $10,106 for Komen Ozark. Thank you to our entire group of bigwigs. You are truly more than pink. Komen Ozark would like to recognize our partners who work with us on our mission to help end breast cancer. Each year, Komen awards a Grantee of the Year to one of our partners who is in the fight with us against breast cancer. This year's Grantee of the Year is the Madison County Health Coalition. The Gay Cypher Power of a Promise Award is awarded to a person or organization working to fulfill the promise that Nancy Brinker made years ago to her sister Susan. This year's Power of a Promise Award goes to our partner, the Breast Center, Amana Clinic. Thank you.
Congratulations to our 2020 award recipients. And finally, let's join together to celebrate our breast cancer community, starting with our Survivor Fashion Show. This year's fashion show was sponsored by Highlands Oncology Group and features fashions from Duluth Trading Company. This is the second year for Duluth to sponsor this fashion show, and they have clothes that can outfit you from your Zoom call to the great outdoors.
Our first Survivor model is Ashley Joyner. Are you looking for a way to be pulled together in no time flat? Duluth has got you covered. Ashley's wool felt big brim hat will save her from squinting all day, and the 100% wool material takes the chill out of the air. Her asset management high-rise jeans let her flex to her full potential, whether she is bending, extending, or climbing ladders, corporate or otherwise. The soft heritage shaker stitch sweater is perfect for brisk fall afternoons or layered up for winter. Ashley is a 7-month breast cancer survivor. Ashley Matthias is ready for anything in Duluth's beautiful red and black free swinging split tail flannel. This flannel has a shorter silhouette, perfect for leaving untucked. The swooping split back offers even more room to move and is great for layering. Her no drooping Duluth Flex daily denim jeans are built to stretch. They look great and feel refined, but are tough enough for roughhousing with all members of your family. Finally, jeans as resilient as a breast cancer survivor. Ashley is a 2.5-year survivor. Survivor Debbie Matthews is sporting Duluth's Flex Fire Hose jacket. It's incredibly tough yet flexible, and it's treated with fend-off finish to shirk rain and stains. Plus, there are an incredible 9 total pockets, including a horizontal back pocket to stash a notebook or a tablet. No matter what the task or temperature, Duluth Flex Fire Hose insulated jacket has the smart, elegant details to get any task done. Debbie is a 4-year breast cancer survivor. Dorothy Keever is wearing Duluth's pistol scarf, and she will have winter under wraps. This gorgeous lightweight acrylic weave is soft, flowy, and at nearly 6 feet long, it is a versatile piece you will reach for all season. Bundle it around your neck or drape it over your legs. This stunner is perfect for a chilly office, church, or ball game. In December, Dorothy will be celebrating 7 years as a breast cancer survivor. Our next survivor is Claudia Joseph. This is a true workday warrior outfit. It is perfect for managing the circus we call life. If you love the look of a fresh pressed shirt without having to drag out your iron, then you will love Duluth's Wrinkle Fighter shirts. Plus, they are packed with a ton of functional details that Duluth Trading Company is known for. Her pants are meticulously tailored to add professional poise and paired with a classic denim jacket. This outfit will have you ready for chills, thrills, and yes, even ready to pay the bills. Claudia lives in Rogers, and she's a 12-year breast cancer survivor. Connie's multicolored scarf is 2 perfect pieces for the price of 1. It has built-in armholes that will let you slip it on as a cape or wrap it around your neck and pull the ends through for polished all-season warmth. Her pants are made with substantial cotton spandex fabric that delivers long hours durability with easy-moving flexibility. And you simply will not find another pair of pants that work harder in your wardrobe. Connie Williams works hard as the Pink Ribbon Luncheon Chair, and she is a 12-year breast cancer survivor.
Weren't the fashions great? Thank you so much to Highlands Oncology and Duluth Trading Company. For over 23 years, Susan G. Komen Ozark has been fighting breast cancer through patient services, treatment assistance, breast care navigation, and funding research to find cures. While this year has been a really challenging one for everyone, women who have been affected by breast cancer, they are facing additional challenges. Please join me as we visit with two local survivors who share their stories today.
Hello, my name is Angie Scarrow, and I am a stage 4 breast cancer survivor. I'm currently living with metastatic breast cancer. I was diagnosed in August of 2017 and wasn't given a lot of hope of beating the cancer or ever being in remission, but I have been since December of 2017. The Komen Foundation has helped me in several ways through my journey. They have helped me with gas cards. They have helped me with utilities. They fund the cancer house in Fayetteville, which my mother and I have stayed in several times when I had treatments or surgeries. The last time we stayed 4 nights in a row, and it's totally free. It's funded by Komen. They have helped me with support, both emotional, financial. They've just been there for me every step of the way, and I appreciate them very much. This is my dear friend Darlene. We are friends. We are sisters. We attend church together. We have a bond as sisters in the fight against breast cancer. Darlene is my inspiration. She's absolutely one of the strongest people I've ever met, and I just love her dearly. Darlene, you have a very interesting story. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of breast cancer in your family?
You know, I honestly didn't know that there was a history of breast cancer in my family until 1995 when my dad was diagnosed with breast cancer. And then when we found out about that, we also found out that 3 of his paternal aunts, in fact his only 3 paternal aunts, all had had breast cancer.
Male breast cancer is very rare. Less than 1% of all breast cancers occur in men. How did your father discover that he had breast cancer?
He actually had a dimple on his breast, a little indented place in the skin, and so he went to his regular doctor to see what it was, and he's the one who told him he needed to see an oncologist because he thought it was breast cancer.
What was his treatment?
It was similar to what we have gone through. He had a mastectomy first, and then he had chemotherapy, and then he took what he called his lady pill for 5 years after that.
Did he survive his breast cancer?
He did survive the breast cancer, but a few years after his breast cancer diagnosis, he got prostate cancer, and that's complications from that is what he actually passed from.
Darlene, could you tell us about your diagnosis?
Last year, it seems like it was maybe September, I started feeling a sharp pain in my armpit. And I actually was at the doctor for another reason, and I mentioned the pain in my armpit, and he felt of it. He didn't feel any lumps. He said, but let's keep a close watch on it. About a month after that, I was having such severe pain in the middle of the night that it woke me up. In fact, I thought I was having a heart attack because there was pain all the way through my chest, and I couldn't figure out what happened. As soon as the doctor's office opened, I called and I said, I have to see you today. And I went in and I got to see the nurse practitioner that time. She felt the lump. They sent me to Harrison where they did an ultrasound and a mammogram, and that's where they found it. And then the next day I went back and they did the biopsy, and I got the results that it was breast cancer.
I am sure you felt that breast cancer was hereditary in your family, but you do not have a gene mutation. You have been genetically tested. Has your daughter?
She has not been genetically tested, no. And I have talked to her about that, and at this point she's chosen to not do so.
Do you still think breast cancer is potentially hereditary in your family?
I do. I just don't see, given our history, how it's not hereditary. I just think that not every genetic mutation has been found yet. And I'm not necessarily talking about found in me, but found in general, that there may be other genetic mutations that we just don't even know about yet.
Darlene, as we will see from some of the pictures accompanying this video, you are a very talented artist. When did you first start painting?
Honestly, I don't remember not being an artist. From a young child, I drew all the time. I've been painting for many, many years.
Has breast cancer slowed your creative outlet?
It hasn't really slowed my creative outlet at all. In fact, there were so many times, especially when I was on chemotherapy, that I didn't feel like doing anything else, but I could sit in front of the easel and paint. Maybe only for a few minutes at a time, but several times a day, and eventually I would end up, in fact, there was a while I was doing a painting a day. And I feel like that if it hadn't been for that, it truly was therapy to me. You know, if it hadn't been for that, my mind would be focused on my illness instead of focused on something that I could create, something beautiful, a talent that God gave me.
Can you imagine a breast cancer diagnosis in rural Arkansas without support?
You know, this part of the country is hard to get anywhere. You know, the roads are crooked and long, and where we live in Berryville, it's such a rural part of the country, and the services are not close. I can't imagine what it would be like for somebody to not have the type of support that I've had. How do they get to treatments? I talked to a man this morning in radiation. He drives from Eagle Rock. And, you know, that people just have long drives to come over here, and I just can't imagine what that would be like without support.
Do you know of other breast cancer survivors that have had limited support in your community?
You know, I said earlier that I can't imagine what it would be like to not have the support. And Angie, I think of you all the time, being a single woman, not having that husband to be there for you. And I know you've got your mom and a few other and some good friends, but it's got to be tough for women, well, men also, but for women that don't have that support. I just can't imagine.
Did you find the educational information helpful as you started the breast cancer journey?
It was very helpful. Melanie sent me 3 books, one for me, one for my husband, and one for my grandsons, so that they even could learn about it in a way that was age appropriate to them. And I think we read cover to cover through all those books. It was very helpful.
Komen Ozark diagnosed 36 cases of breast cancer through local funding in 2019. Without Komen funding, these cases would have gone undetected. A mammogram can cost an average of $150, but the cost can be a barrier for women without the ability to pay. I know we have an audience listening today, and I would like to share with you some of the ways that you can help save a life. You can donate directly to Komen. You can donate when they have their annual More Than Pink walk. You can donate through various fundraisers that Komen has throughout the year. And I feel that it's very important to support Komen because they help these women and men that are fighting breast cancer every step of the way.
Well, as Angie said, 36 breast cancers were diagnosed just by Komen of the Ozarks with their mammogram support last year. And that's just one small chapter of the Komen Foundation. Imagine nationwide how many thousands of women are diagnosed every year because they provide mammograms. And a lot of times they're diagnosed in the early stages because of those mammograms where it's very treatable. They have definitely helped decrease the death rate from breast cancer because of the support of people like you who donate for mammograms.
Darlene, what would you like to share with our audience today about how they can help save a life?
Well, a minute ago you said that Komen of the Ozarks had diagnosed 36 cases last year in 2019, and that's just one small chapter of Komen. Imagine how many thousands of cases there have been nationwide over the years that would not have been diagnosed, especially in early stages when it's so treatable, if it had not been for Komen providing those mammograms for women who couldn't afford it. My husband also is doing his part to raise awareness for breast cancer. He painted his race car pink, and he put the pink breast cancer ribbon on the front of it. On the back end of it, he's got, it looks like a racing flag, the black and white checkered flag, and he's having people sign it who are breast cancer survivors or other cancer survivors too, or in memory of people that they lost. It's logoed up with all kinds of slogans about being aware. It's one of the slogans down the side of it says early detection is the best protection. So he's also doing his part every time he goes out to a race to raise awareness.
Every 2 minutes, a woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that moment, her life changes forever. The toll is great. The need is greater. The need to find comfort in the dark hours. The need to find hope in the cures. And that's why when others look away, we lean in. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change everything. But we need your help to make more moments of hope possible. Join our fight, save lives, because we are all stronger together.
Thank you for joining us today and for sharing a moment of your day with Komen. For those who face cancer diagnosis, there are many moments in life. The moment you got the call saying you had cancer, the moment you walked into the chemo room for the first time. Those are all moments that are etched in the memory of a breast cancer survivor forever. But today, I want to invite you to join us in providing more moments of hope, more moments for cancer survivors and people facing cancer. Moments of hope for women like Kristen, Darlene, and Angie, our moms, our sisters, our friends, and our neighbors who will be diagnosed with cancer this year. Last year, 36 women were diagnosed in our area using Komen Ozark funding. That's 36 women who now have more moments of hope, more birthdays, more celebrations. Komen is working to advocate public policy, investing life-saving research, and to provide treatment for families facing a cancer diagnosis. Why is Komen working so hard? Because we want more moments of hope. This year's been a little difficult and challenging for all of us, but for those facing a cancer diagnosis, it's been particularly different. I also want you to think about how this year has been for you and reflect on the challenges, the blessings, and the moments of hope that you've enjoyed this year. And maybe to think about how you can provide those moments of hope for others in our community. A mammogram costs $150. That $150 can provide many moments of hope, but any amount will help. If you've not had the opportunity to make your annual donation, I hope that you will consider doing that today. You can mail a check to the address beside me, or you can go to our website, KomenOzark.org. Thank you so much for joining us today for the annual Pink Ribbon Luncheon and for your support of Komen Ozark.
Thank you for joining us today to celebrate our 23rd annual Pink Ribbon Luncheon. On behalf of Susan G. Komen, we thank you for supporting the promise to save lives and end breast cancer forever. Thank you and have a great afternoon.